Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing a 2028 presidential election prediction between Gavin Newsom and JD Vance. Now, I think JD Vance is very likely to win the Republican nomination as he is the current Vice President of the United States selected by Trump. And then Gavin Newsom, I think he's fairly likely to win the nomination. He's been ramping up more national profile events. And right now, he is very neck and neck in the 2028 Democratic primary polls, so I think he has a good shot to become the nominee. So we are going to start with safe states, and for JD Vance, that is Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska's 3rd District, Nebraska at large, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and West Virginia. And for the Democrats, Gavin Newsom, that is going to be Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Illinois, Delaware, Maryland, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., Connecticut, Vermont, and New York, and Maine's 1st District. Now, as you can see, Gavin Newsom has an advantage in the safe states, but JD Vance will gain back the advantage when we fill out the likely states. So for JD Vance, our likely states are Alaska, Texas, Iowa, Ohio, Florida. And now you can see JD Vance has many of these big states, Texas and Florida. Ohio's decently large as well. And now for Gavin Newsom, likely states are Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, New Jersey. It's going to narrow up a little bit, but I still think it will be a likely state. New Hampshire, and Maine at large. And now I think JD Vance is going to win Nebraska's 1st District, and Newsom will win Nebraska's 2nd District. And so now we have finished our likely states, and it brings JD Vance 218 to Gavin Newsom 216, which is actually really, really close. So it's going to be a real close election, just like the past elections, 2024, 2020, 2016, were all close. And now I think Minnesota, Newsom will win it by a lean margin. Harris won it by about 4 points, and I think that's probably going to remain the same in 2028. And now we go over to Maine's 2nd District, and I think JD Vance will win that by a lean margin. And now we have our 7 battleground states that you are all very familiar with. These battleground states account for a total of 93 electoral votes, and as of right now, Gavin Newsom has a 7-point advantage. But Gavin Newsom, he is upping his game to become the nominee, but I think what will not go well for him is JD Vance and the Republicans will call him a California liberal over and over again, and they'll use that in attack ads, and the image of a California liberal is not popular with the majority of the country. So I think, he is pretty popular in California, but I do not think that will expand to the country. And so we're going to start over on the West Coast near California. I think Arizona will narrow up from last year's 5.5 margin. I think it will be a lean state. I think Newsom will be able to narrow it up a little bit because the Trump administration is getting a little less popular on immigration, but I still think JD Vance holds this seat, and I think it's going to be a lean margin. And in Nevada, I think being a very close neighboring state to California, I think it narrows up quite a bit. Trump won it by about 3 points in 2024, and I think Newsom is able to narrow this up quite a bit, and I think it stays to JD Vance, but a very small margin, tilt margin. And now we are going to go over to North Carolina. And in 2024, North Carolina was about a 3-point margin. And I don't think Newsom will have appeal to many of the states over here. So I think J.D. Vance is going to keep this state lead margin, probably win it by the same amount that Trump won in 2024. And in Georgia, I think a lot of minority voters will not like what Trump is doing. So I think Gavin Newsom will flip this seat just narrowly back to the Democrats in 2028. And now we go to Wisconsin, which was the closest swing state. Trump only won it by less than a point, and I think Newsom will be able to flip that back just by a little bit. I don't think he will do great in these states, but I think he will do slightly better than Kamala Harris. And in Michigan is interesting because they elect a lot of Democratic governors, Democratic senators, but they voted for Trump in 2016 and 2024. But I think Newsom can energize some of the Democratic base there, not all, and I think he narrowly wins it. And now Pennsylvania, where Trump won by almost 2 points, and I don't think Newsom is that nationally popular to flip Pennsylvania back to the Democrats, and I think J.D. Vance will hold on to Pennsylvania just narrowly, giving him the presidency of the United States. So J.D. Vance at 271 and Gavin Newsom at 267. This will be one of the closest elections in history, and I think J.D. Vance has the slight upper hand if he faces Gavin Newsom, because Gavin Newsom may be popular in California, but a California liberal would not be popular on the national stage. So that's that. I think J.D. Vance would beat Gavin Newsom very, very narrowly, and I hope you enjoyed the prediction. Please like the video and subscribe, and I would love to hear your comments.